We are a few minutes from the second game, Riddle versus Dusty. Riddle red side, Dusty blue side. What are the picks we should be looking out for in this champion select to be removed and others that could take their place? Is any ban worthy of just swifting? I don't know.
Silas.
Yeah.
If you're not playing it,
Look,
ban Silas. Worlds figure
genuinely.
that out. We don't
Yeah.
need to really innovate on that one.
I mean, like, look, Zeka just won the World Championship, having gone straight through the play-ins by being really, really, really good at Akali and Silas and forcing bans on those
Fair
champions.
point.
And when they weren't banned, things went wrong. Just ask Scout about it. I would suggest either picking it or banning it, frankly.
So is that the only one? Aside from that, everything is good to go.
There are other things which you can kind of trade, but in terms of things that you just need to take off the table from Riddle, yeah, it is the Silas. Like, if you're not playing it, you get rid of it. I think in regards to other power picks, I think that actually Viego for Stefan could be really a big one because I think we saw what Linces can do with it. Has early flash gank potential, has team fighting potential too. It just allows you to play through. If you are a skilled jungler, it allows you to do pretty much everything that you want to. And I know that Viego's been nerfed an awful lot, but with these players here, Linces and Stefan, they both love that champion. I think you got to get rid of them. Problem is though, we've also had a lot of comfort picks being banned, like the LeBlanc, like the Aswo. Something has to fall through at some point.
And the problem is, you're looking at these bans, you're like, do you really want to give Backland Yasuo? Not really. Do you really want to give the Sejuani over? Considering Kerberos broke X7 in the finals with that pick in a lot of ways. It was so good for the top laner. He was winning 1v1s versus Fiora 20, 30 minutes into the game, which is normally pretty difficult to do if you're not careful. So I can understand why they don't want to drop those bans. But if you're doing this, you then need to start thinking about, okay, if the Darius is banned, that suggests maybe they're thinking about going for a Jax pick here, a Dusty, and saying, well, we'll just take that away from Jax Blank and say, yeah, we'll blind pack that and say, well, you don't have answers. Because I would have said an option for Riddle would be just early rotation that Jax, screw the counter pick, give that for Faison to make sure he's not into an awful matchup, and just assume your players name themselves after the champion can find a matchup to work with it.
You're now looking for... Well, this is actually surprising. I was wondering if we were going to get Varus or Lucian Nami. That was typically been our early safe power pick to kind of blind pick, because someone has to blind pick, and blind picking a bot lane typically works out for you. So that's why we have seen a lot of Varus or Nami on Blue 1 at Worlds, in Aurora Open as well. We tend to see a lot of that. Now, Riddle, they have the chance to Nami here as well. You can... I actually wonder if Viego here is a really good call. You would be picking your jungle matchup early. I feel like you had to take the Viego here. I think that is a little bit greedy from Riddle to say, oh, we'll hold on to another counter pick. Because, I don't know. I feel like Viego here, it's a good takeaway. It gives Stefan more ability to impact the game.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a step up for me.
That is the red 1-2 from last game that Dusty went for. They've managed to get it on the blue side again. They seem really comfortable with it. In fairness, I think both players felt very happy with that. And now especially they got rid of the Darius, which was making the lane closer in the early game. I do need to see whether Jax Plank has something else he can play into that Jax. I mean, of all players to know how the Jax plays, he would be the guy, right? But still a bit risky. I'm still not entirely sure about the Nautilus priority. Stend plays it well, but I kind of agree with Nymera from last game. I wonder whether the Renata would still be a better option. It's a bit more punishing into Illusion who wants to dive forwards, but it's more pick CC.
And it stops you locking in too many melee champions. And if we saw this in the other semi-final, right, between between Astralis and JDXL rather, where it's just like you have a Renata or something like that in a full-on melee comp, and it's like, well, good luck auto-attacking everyone to death. That'll happen. Are we gonna get Stefan's Udyr? I love it. So get Middlecop back on. He's the Udyr main on the NLC broadcast side of things. We have new Udyr. Also known as Udyr, yeah. But Stefan has this now, which the thing about Udyr is that you can build a lot of different things. We've seen a lot of Riftmaker. We've seen some more tanky stuff too. But he is so good at just bullying out enemy jungle matchups. If we were thinking that Linces was the real breaking point for Dusty rolling over the early game with Linces teaming up with Backland and Stend, good luck doing that when you have a really good early game jungler shutting down you on an individual level. I'm interested to see how Dusty responds to this.
And you can play the Udyr into something like that Viego pretty happily. Also is pretty good into things like the Hecarim early, because Hecarim hates being invaded early, and Udyr can kind of potentially come in and contest. I think I like the GP ban again. It's signature pick, fine. If you are looking to try and get rid of some of those more options to make Kerberos' life as easy as you possibly can, good news. The question for me then for Riddle is, You've locked in your jungle, you've locked in your bot lane. Who is getting counter pick? I would argue you really want to save it for Facing. The question is, does he have the champion pool big enough to justify that?
I
We'll
like
see.
what Dusty are doing with these second round bans, because I think what Riddle set up to do with an Udyr is to isolate your lanes. It's very much if you like the way that something like Genji or a Rogue played in Summer, where it's like, look, our job with something like this Udyr is to keep our laners in lane, scaling up, and potentially with good matchups too. Banning away stuff like the GP and the Renekton means that they are strong, like mid-game team fighters in the case of the Renekton, or you know, strong scaling carries. But what they are is they are allowed to sit in lane and just be really useful for their team in the right composition. Locking that Gragas, I think that's fine as a utility tank. I don't think that's their first pick for someone like Jax Plank, though. They're actually putting a lot of pressure now onto Kevo and Nash to really win over their laning phase, which in fairness they did do in game 1.
Okay, well, Backlund just got
This
his
makes sense.
very famous LeBlanc. He was debating between that and the Akali. That, again, it's one of those picks you go, yeah, I trust this guy on this champion. We know what he can do with it. Does that mean that Stend has to finally lock in a jungler for Linces? Trundle would make some sense. It's a good combo with something like the Nautilus. You're into some tanks. You can steal away those stats, particularly from someone like the Udyr. A little bit like Udyr doesn't necessarily win that duel as well. They're still debating.
Those are some mid-jungle champions that hover.
I know they are. So
I saw like that. I saw the Lee Sin of like, oh, good luck facing.
Oh, let's go.
I'm not gonna lie. At this point, you are accepting that facing is going to die. Like LeBlanc, Lee Sin, Lince's Backland. Good luck with that. And don't get me wrong, Action, it's one of Face's specialties. We had it in the pre-show. We alluded to this. We know that he plays this. But I'm sorry, this mid-jungle is TV2. Oh, Dusty's
so
LeBlanc Lee Sin. Facing, buddy, we asked you to step up. This is... And climbing the mountain is an analogy we use a lot. This is the cliff face. This is like inclined at 90 degrees. If you're going to show off, this is a hell of a way to do it, but it is a tough challenge.
It is one, and I need your predictions before we toss it to the game. We're about to jump into some of this rifts, so this time, Nightmare, you started.
Dusty. So many comfort picks, ability to blow up in mid-jungle. That's a Dusty comp for me.
Initialize.
It's Dusty. Good luck, Kevo and Nash. You need to be the hope. Make it happen.
Small range or the short range for the Riddle to deal damage on the other side. They can do from wherever they want. It's a tough one for Riddle, and if they lose this one, it's on match point for Dusty to move on to the finals to face Astralis. But to face on the casters, let's toss it to Triple Link and Hip Right, the boys.
I receive Lee Sin LeBlanc. You receive death. Because
it's a powerful duo. It's a very, very powerful duo.
It's Buckland on LeBlanc. Come on.
I mean, as a LeBlanc enthusiast, this is definitely one of my favorite matchups, like jungle matchups you can have yourself, where you have a Lee Sin. That 2v2 skirmishing is just so brutal to fight against. You know, obviously you have a really solid mix of both solid AD and solid AP damage. So I'm expecting to see this very much be about the mid lane, like they did last time, where they enable Backland to take over the game. And LeBlanc is very similar to Sylas in that sense. Although in the sense where, like, if you get a couple of kills onto them early, they can just snowball that really, really powerfully into the later game. LeBlanc is a little bit more reliant on actually getting ahead early than someone like a Sylas. Sylas can sit by and still be relevant later, but with a LeBlanc, you really want to get it going. So I'm excited by this game, just because I want to see this mid lane action again. Backland was such a key factor in that previous game, and to be fair, so was Curb, and Curb was on the Jax, and he's on that Jax again.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, okay, we memed it a little bit in the chat previously, but we're like, what season is this? Where Jax gets like B1 and R1 prior, but I think it's more of a case of Kerberos is really good at Jax, but it's even better because he takes it off Jaxplank's hands. Now, I thought that maybe something like a Gangplank could have a lot of value over picking the Udyr right there and getting Jaxplank onto something that he's extremely proficient on. I mean, heck, it's half of his summoner's name, right? So they feel like Gragas could be the same deal, but I'm looking around and I see so many mobile champs, especially towards the tops of the map, the Jax, the Lee Sin, the LeBlanc. It's going to be so difficult to hit any of them with the body slam, with the barrel later on. I feel like Jaxplank's target will most likely consist of the Voxne and then Voxne alone, trying to bring that Varus close to the fight, just so he can get one shot by something like the action and like the Lucian. Of course, talking about the action is not something that we necessarily see a lot of, and I'm really very keen to see how the matchup versus the LeBlanc goes, because of course playing press the attack, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, you hit the LeBlanc, but what is the trading pattern between the action and the LeBlanc is going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and actually kind of going back to the Akshan LeBlanc as well, kind of just while we're continuing talking about it. This is such an irritating lane to play LeBlanc in, because he just annoyingly pokes you away. Like, the kill pressure shouldn't really be there unless you're making like a massive mistake on the LeBlanc. But also, the kill pressure for you in the 1v1 just is not there. Because as soon as you land like the kill on him, or you jump forward and try to land a chain, he just swings off. It's such an irritating lane. This is like, for a long time, this was actually a permaban for me. Not because like I lose to it all the time, just because I wouldn't win to it. Like, it's such a pain. It's such a pain of a lane.
Oh wait, Linces did red chickens straight into that mid lane. Remember last time, Buckland gets that 1 kill very early on,
Yeah.
and the game just ends.
I mean, if you get him before he changed, got the interrupt. That was really well played. The kick is there. Buckland, can he secure the kill? No, it's Linkus coming in. Absolutely beautiful.
That was so freaking well played from Buckland, because he gives no room from Faison. Unless he flashes away underneath his tower, he has no other place to hop onto. And Faison chooses to use his bungee right there. Instead of flashing away, Buckland plays that so freaking well to hop back into his shadow, into his initial W, sorry, the distortion, and use the chain from there. And this is very scary right now, because again, the mid-jungle duo of Dusty, just 2 minutes into the game, have pulled off the flash of Faison. Let's look at this one more time. Buckland distorts forward to try and get a reaction from Faison. He gets exactly that, interrupts the swing as well, and Linces will flash forward to slow, making sure that the subsequent Q will land once the chain pins him in place as well. Very well coordinated stuff from the Dusty mid-jungle, and now we're just expecting more and more action in the mid-jungle duo area, especially since Faison is missing his flash.
Yeah, but actually Linkus is coming up towards this top side, hoping that Jax Plank jumps onto Curb. Curb actually maybe been a little bit of a over-eager actor there, stepping forward. Is going to jump into the pocket here. They're going to land everything they need onto him. The belly bop's there, and the minion wave means Linkus can't land a Q. Jax Plank will be able to survive. They will be able to shove the wave in, though. Maybe get a play over to Curb, although Jax Plank wants to try and contest this. There is no backup about at the moment, but Faison is running over as quick as possible, and will be able to get there, but they do decide just to back it off. And actually, Denvoxy too close to the bush. Why would he go that close? What was Denvoxy doing? No, sorry. Why would you just blindly walk into that bush?
Okay, so that bot lane wave was pretty screwed. It was pushing for Dusty, which means that you need jungle assistance if you want to walk up. And since your Lee Sin is at the top side of the map, it's pretty fair to say that you're expecting the enemy jungler to be invading your own jungle. So it should have been expected that that Udyr should be somewhere inside the jungle of Linces. Maybe the chickens, maybe the golems. It was the golems, and then Vox ends up being punished. I think what he tried to do there was get in the shortest route to the tribush to try and ward it up, but not knowing the whereabouts of Udyr, and with Nami being gone from the map, you have to respect Fog of Ward, and Voxnet did not. Gives 1 kill over to Stefan Udyr.
Yeah, that was a pretty criminal mistake coming in from him. But, you know, it's not the end of the world. It didn't go over to the likes of Kevo or Faison or someone. Yes, you don't want the Udyr getting ahead, but, you know, a mistake was made. Denvoxy did lose a little bit of farm for it, and I don't think he'll be making that mistake again in a hurry. Curb, though, this is actually a much worse lane for him than the previous one versus Jax Plank, when Jax Plank was on the Darius. He is getting pretty heavily shoved in and poked out. Has got himself a pretty significant farm lead, just thanks to the attention that Linkus gave when he went topside earlier on. So Curb is actually farming himself up quite comfortably here, but this time around, we are seeing some pretty nice kind of just scouting vision coming down consistently by Riddle. They had some wards in the bottom side a moment ago. They have now timed out, but Jax Plank has placed a ward down in that top side. You can see that the Gromp is gone. He probably expects that Linkus is going to be moving towards the bot side at the moment. So his mid and his bot should be working with the information that Linkus most likely isn't in that top side. And they don't really have much vision down here to work with. So Linkus at the moment is in the shadows, but will be spotted out by this ward as he makes his way over. It's a
But
large
they're pushed too
wave.
far. They're pushed
It's
too far, and Nash is only level 4. There are flashes on the Riddle bot lane, but Lintus is also there.
Oh, the hook comes out. The flash is there by Nash. I don't think Denvoxy really wanted to take that fight because he was down a lot of farm, and that was a big wave pushed into it. But the fight is breaking on. Backline's going to have to distort over the wall. Has got level 6, so he can dash away again. Oh, no, he can't. He's already used it, but that's that flash. So he was okay. He's able to distort away.
Yeah, and I feel like Dusty are constantly looking for pressure on the map, especially since they got that one kill onto their Lee Sin. They got the whip as well in the inventory. They're trying to use that as much as possible. But right here, because the kill was given over to an Udyr as well, Bami Sinter, you've got steel caps in the inventory as well. It means a lot of auto attackers like the Jax, like the Lee Sin, like the Varus will be doing way less damage, especially that early into the stages of the game where you don't necessarily have too much punch into your auto attacks, and also the damage being diminished by the steel caps means that I feel like Stefan's Udyr right now can actually dictate the pace of how this game is going to go in the early game. So Dusty need to find ways to try and play away from the Udyr.
Yeah, they really do, actually. Is we are seeing a little bit of early action did break out in the mid lane, but since then it's been relatively quiet. Backland has a marginal lead over Facer, nothing really too major. Curb at this point, now that he's got the Sheen, is starting to bully Jaxplank around, especially now Jaxplank's starting to bleed out in the mana bar area, but Stefan is rotating over, and this could be very, very messy because they've actually also got Nash in the area. Curb just wants to shove the wave in. I actually think Jaxplank was thinking about just calling it off, but he didn't have TP, so yeah, it's too risky for him just to give this wave up. So he's just going to make sure he catches it, and Curb's going to get to either free rotate over towards this Rift Herald, but will be spawning up now, which it looks like he will be doing with Linkus. They will be spotted out by the Scuttle Crab. Stefan has also placed a ward down, and I think Riddle are just willing to give this one up. They don't really want to fight for it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that also Jaxplank hadn't necessarily really backed, he didn't have an item. You mentioned it, Kerberos. I'm going to be calling him Jaxplank from now on because he's playing Janks. But no, Kerberos did have a Sheen in his inventory, which means he had already reset, he had already backed, he was full mana, full HP, whilst Jaxplank had actually used most of his mana, his HP, to try and push Kerberos away from that lane, try and farm the rest of that wave that was pushing underneath his tower. So that means this is a pretty free Herald for the side of Dusty, and I'm looking forward to see where they're actually going to use it, because every single lane right here makes sense. Freeing Kerberos onto the map could make a lot of sense, but you don't necessarily want to do this because then you give a lot of farm free for the side of Jaxplank, as a Kevo is going to use his culling onto Stan to check him down. But then again, I think it's most likely going to be mid lane because you want to be freeing that LeBlanc on the map.
Yeah.
Not having an obligation to get back into your mid lane, get that wave, and actually roam around. And also, the amount of vision that this tower going down gives your team, especially when you're playing assassins and aggressive champions like the Lee Sin LeBlanc, I think is going to be extremely full value. Now, the only problem is you need to get people out of mid lane in order to take that tower, or simply just use it for pressure and then bleed into Dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's typically what we do see, is a lot of people use those use Rift Herald, at least the first one in the middle, the bot, to kind of translate that into Dragon power. But this game versus the last game is very different. I think, Dusty are still looking confident, but not as dominating as they were in the previous game. And I think that's kind of due, in fact, to the fact that Riddle were playing somewhat more kind of more smart right now. I guess that's not the right way to word that, but that's how I'm going to word it. They were making mistakes in that first game, which Dusty were very quick to snap up and punish. It feels right now like Riddle are playing a way slower paced game. They are, their top and their bot are definitely lanes that typically are a bit harder to kind of just pick up and overextend and make a mistake with, because you obviously got, so much space to buy with the cask and the belly bop from the Gragas, obviously the swing from the Akshan. Obviously it can be interrupted. We saw how they outplayed it on that level 2, but for the most part, it's definitely harder lanes to punish on the top side. And then the bot lane are just being a little bit less aggressive when they don't have their jungler nearby. And I mean, then again, Denvoxy made that massive mistake bot lane, which is also kind of bled into this. So it's gonna be an interesting next kind of like 5 minutes. Obviously we've got that Rift Herald to go down. I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the game. There is a world where they actually just say, screw mid lane, let's actually just slap it top lane and get Curb like mega split pushing early, because he's always a nuisance inside lane. He's like I've been following Cub for a very long time, and I'm used to seeing how he plays, and he is. I get ahead, I grab, I just take towers, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I feel like one thing that I always disagree with putting that Rift Herald top lane is that if you're in a winning matchup, it sort of neutralizes it because you keep on shoving the wave constantly into opponent tier 2 and you cannot necessarily overextend it to tier 2. So at some point you're going to push another wave, you're going to get caught, people are going to get kills on you, you're going to get a shutdown if you're not very careful, which is something that we've seen Curb being punished when he overextends to pressure that wave. But I would really love to get that LeBlanc unlocked onto the map, or very simply use towards that bots of the map, get them boxing ahead onto his Varus. I think right now the problem that Dusty is really falling into is this Udyr has that one kill. He has the steel caps, and you're running 3 auto attackers on your team, plus the Bamisinda, which does a bunch of damage in the early stages of the game. It just makes it really difficult for them to actually face Udyr head on. So as long as they manage to use that Rift Herald to try and get the attention of Riddle away from wherever they want to play, and go for a different objective, I think they'll be fine. But I think right now, the fate of Riddle does lie on Stefan, and if he's going to be there on the objectives in time to zone Dusty away, because he's incredibly strong.
Yeah, I think Stefan is definitely going to be the key point here for Riddle to be playing around. It's going to be, for me, I'm going to be watching, the next few moments beyond that Rift Herald and kind of what the decision making is after that. Because, there's almost a very clear plan of how you use Rift Heralds, or different ways in which you can use those Rift Heralds. But what you get in response after that is, there won't be another Rift Herald for a little bit. If they easily take a dragon, then sure. Is it just sit back and keep farming? Is that actually a playable option here? What is going to be the game plan, I guess, after that Herald? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure Trouble will know, but I'm not actually going to give her the option to, because I'm going to throw it back over to Archer while we wait to finish up this ongoing pause. So over to you, Archer.
We're also here,
listen to
We're
Trouble.
also here.
Like
I would like, yeah, Georgia. What? Come on, what's going on?
I like Troubles in pools.
I'm sorry, guys, you can't see me, but I can't tell you right now. I can't tell you.
She's
Mom,
doing
spirit.
Keeper is not letting me. Get me on the screen.
We're professionals, here,
Nightmare.
everybody.
Let's
Hello.
bring the professional again.
I can do
Let's
that.
talk about how is this game going. Let's understand the 2 points of view. How is Dusty playing? How is Riddle
Yeah.
playing? Save us.
You must be truly desperate if you're coming to me for
Yes.
professionality. Okay, so let's get into it though, because we in the pregame kind of took the summer Riddle angle in terms of how do they get back into this game. Let's see if they can isolate a top lane matchup, get Jax Blank ahead. However, they are going towards more of actually the Aurora open style, which is actually saying Kevo is the real carry right now. Let's leave nullifying top. They pick the Gragas there, and we'll play towards bot side instead. And the way they end up doing that is they have the Gragas, cool, does well into the Jax, behind a bit in CS, that's fine. But they take this Udyr, which can actually impact the game early, and slam Denvox and his Varus when he tries to come back to lane. So we actually have, while there has been an opening in mid lane from Dusty, and that is a very dangerous thing to give, there are some signs to work around, is actually saying, actually, Kevo's in a pretty good spot now. This Varus isn't going to be the most powerful thing ever, and the Lucian Nami is actually a power point for them, so that's good signs.
What about the other side, Initialize? How is Dusty playing through this one? Because I know LeBlanc and Lee Sin is kind of a hot topic.
Yeah, I mean, like they managed to make it work, right? They get the level 2 gank off. It is red Raptors.
If only
straight
we
to
could
mid.
see that. Oh,
Yeah.
we could see it.
Wonderful. Go, Alex. Explain. Why does this
so
break
what
up?
it is you see LeBlanc Lee Sin, you think, mid lane's going to be a bit difficult. And Facing goes, no worries, guys. I've got the action. I'm not too certain about the hook shot, but he ends up going towards an area that what's it called? The heroic swing? Is that it?
It's heroic swing. Yes.
Heroic swing.
cool.
Yeah, you should learn all
Got
the
that one.
abilities from action.
I really
anyway.
should at some point, but I think this really again shows that Dusty understand where their win conditions are, and they understand that actually mid jungle, that's where they've got their power through. The Lee Sin and LeBlanc, they get that kill, they get ahead, and that's typically worked out very, very well for Dusty. I do think though that it is very important that Riddle didn't just stall out at that though. They did have a counter push, and that was towards that bot side.
Okay, when you look into the rest of the map, is anything bleeding that you want to point out? Because you know they're playing for the Lucian, the other ones are playing for the LeBlanc. What about the top side?
Well, the top side's kind of just been pretty stable, with the exception that Jack is getting slight leads, but that's fine. The Gragas will survive that. It will be hard to remove a Gragas from under his tower eventually. You've got so many tools to do that. The issue, of course, though, is they tried to make this happen right now.
So close.
And it gets really close because you can see Jaxplank very low on mana, but just enough with the passive to get the double body slam and get out. And then the Q doesn't quite go there because Linces expects to step away. And all the while, there's a freeze in bot lane. And that's a
all
problem.
of a sudden, it seems like we are ready to jump into the
Oh.
Summon's Rift. So I don't know why we're looking into the bot. I mean, let's look into this. Let's give
I
it
mean, this is just a wave frozen. Varus walking back to lane, Riddle there to respond. Dusty, they put the resources topside and they're gonna get slammed in bot. So anyway, this is the bright spark that we're talking about.
There you go. As easy as it gets.
Hello.
That's the easy kill. Wait, Mom? Well, let's toss it to the Rift. There she is.
I'm here. Hello. Hey, we're
back.
back.
Hey, here we go. Getting ready to go back into that game. All right.
Call me mum.
I
He's older
didn't.
than me. What the hell?
He is an old man. He refuses to admit it, but he is an old
Yeah,
man.
he is.
Bless him. I hope he can hear us. I hope he can hear us. I don't
He
know. He
can't.
can't? Oh, he'll never know. Everybody tweet at Archer, you're an old man, please. I want everybody to do it. Just let him know. Or just, actually, if you can't be bothered to open Twitter, because it's a bit of a mess of a website at the moment, just use Twitch chat. I want everyone to spam Archer is old in Twitch chat, please. Thank you. Anyway, back to the game. Let's see how this
Alright.
Rift Herald gets used. We rambled about that for a little bit, so I guess we should probably talk about it.
Yeah, and with the dragon being up, I mean, okay. I know a lot of people will be sad about this, but Cloud Drake is not the most efficient, especially when it's not a soul. So a lot of the teams will usually side-eye it, but Stefan is not going to side-eye that. Top lane opportunity for a dive. There is a cask, there is a flash, there is a slam, there is a very fed Udyr and Keb. What have you got?
He has his stun. He has his stun for a little bit. Oh no, he's down. Stefan does take 2 shower shots, but not too many. And that was just a very clean dive by Riddle, to be honest.
Oh, and the timing was impeccable, actually, because the entirety of Dusty had reset. Everyone is walking back to their lanes right now, so Dusty get absolutely 0 from Kerberos' death. So many minions are going to crash underneath his tower, which Linces is actually going to cash in. But Kerb right here is actually suffering that. B1 Jax is being punished right here. And if you've got a minute, I'd like to talk to you about our Lord and Savior, Gragas. I think this champion has been under the radar for the longest time now, because I feel like there is nothing he can't do. He can carry, so Kingen carry with him, he can tank, he can bully champions in lane, his sustain is insanely good to put up with bullies like the Jax, like the Fiora, like the Darius. And honestly, his engaged, disengaged, peeling potential is also off the roof. And especially when you have 2 very short range AD carries, like the Action, like the Lucian, the spacing that Jaxplank can create in fights with the Gragas is going to be extremely pivotal for Riddle's team fighting success.
That was a nice little trade by Curve, though. But then again, the passive just means he sustains back up, so it doesn't really result in too much. Linkus is moving over towards the mid lane. Looks like their intention will be to put the Herald down at this tower, get some pressure towards the Herald, towards the Dragon, sorry. But they haven't really got a great wave setup on the bottom side of the map. So actually, it just looks like they get a couple of plates, they get a bit of a chunk, and yes, they do rotate members over. Backline does look for the chains onto Stefan, but that is really going to be it. They can't translate this into a dragon, so all that talk about what they can do with it, unfortunately, doesn't really result in much as Curb forced to flash away from Jaxplank. Maybe Jaxplank thinks he's safe here. He's going to use everything to clear the wave, and Curb is going to try and turn this fight back around. The Grandmaster's might has been used. Just needs one more auto, but he doesn't have the flash. He gets the pop, and Curb finds the kill.
Hey, what? I don't know what the vision was like for Jaxplank right there, but Curb just walked out and got inside that bush. Linces, though, in the time.
Linces just dodging around the bubble narrowly there. Very, very crisp. But Stend is chunked out. And wait.
Not again.
Linces,
Not the
is
bush
he going to
again.
go for it? No way.
Bush again.
No way. Oh, the insect. That was so smooth. Absolutely beautiful from Linces.
Do you know what my favorite thing about Lee Sin Place is? That you can pull the nuttiest kick and then instantly miss your Q straight after. On a target that's not moving. You know what? Giga Chad Lintas right there. He's like, I don't even need to use my Q because I want to give my carry to the kill to my carry. Never mind, he got that kill as well. It makes no sense what I'm saying. He missed his Q. It's
No,
fine.
he wanted. Yeah, that's what he'll say. He'll say I was trying to give it over, but then I had to secure it, so that's why I took it. That's the big brain play. That's how you sell the mistake as a planned accident. But unfortunately,
Okay,
they didn't
got
give it over to
replay.
Den. Oh, let's see. Oh, it's this top lane. Okay, so this is how Curb got chunked early and then was forced to flash.
All right, so we'll see that Kerberos right here goes in, gets hit by the cask. So pretty much Jaxplank right here has used every single cooldown he has on the Gragas. Kerberos will use his counter-strike and walk out. And at this point, I'm not sure. Okay, flash for flash, doesn't want to get slowed. And Kerberos is like, Jaxplank loses complete. Oh my god, thank you so much for the vision toggle right there onto Jaxplank. Because I think walking that close to the tower and seeing that Kerberos is not underneath that tower should be a little bit stinky. He's somewhere around. You have the the river warded with a control ward. That means Kerberos is somewhere towards the top side where the alcove is. But Linces pulling another gank towards that bot side of the map. He's going to take the flash first from Kevo, and then he's going to do some Kerberos gaming. He's going to walk back, get into that bush, be extremely patient, and then pull an insec onto Kevo by burning his flash. And actually, I've been taught this is not a kick flash. Sorry, this is not a flash kick. This is a kick flash, if we want to be extremely technical. Talking about technicalities, I think Kerberos is dead.
Yeah, I think you mean Lingus, but Curb is dead as well. Down they go. 2 members dead. Nash heavily chunked out. Dusty got a pretty heavily chunk onto Dane Voxney, and they are going to try and answer out of a tower. Backline finds a cheeky assassination off onto Nash, but he's being run down by multiple members. Distorts over the wall. He's not going to face check facing, right? There's no way. Nah, he's all right. Able to walk away, but Dusty, making a couple of mistakes there and getting heavily chunked out.
I feel like having both of your solo lanes actually blind pick both the Jax and the LeBlanc has kind of hurt them, because even though Faison is down about 20 CS, he's on a champion that scales a lot. Also, the kit is something that is extremely valuable, especially if you kill somebody that has killed someone else. Your teammate comes back to life. So let's watch this again. Kerberos gets caught by the cask. Stefan is there, eats the entire action ult as well, and Linces gets caught by the wave, yada yada yada. But bot lane, Kevo overextends. He's in a 1 versus 2, and Nash will die to backline. I think he found him in the river. Yeah, okay, he found him in the river. Really nice stuff right there. Oh, just about doesn't get hit from the Jaxplank body slam. But all in all, it is a 2-for-2. Bot lane tower ended up going down for Dusty. But on the other hand, what I want to say is that with these counter picks, you see Kerberos is suffering in the top lane. Jaxplank is doing pretty well onto this AP Gragas. And as from mid lane, we know that Backland is an absolute monster onto this LeBlanc. You give him 1 kill, he run over your entire game in an even worse way than the Silas. But here, he hasn't been able to accelerate. Jaxplank under attack.
Lingus dodging away on the cask. Unfortunately, not going to quite get in range to get the kickoff, but they're bringing Backlund over as well. The chains need to connect here. They're going to flash away, hold it. And that was a lovely escape there from Jaxplank, but with 3 members topside and the Herald in the pocket, another charge will go through and chunk this tower. Not enough to kill it, but Curb able to get himself a little bit of additional gold, but he's being run down. The Everfrost will lock him in place. And they are just going to threaten jumping onto Curb, but Faison in the meanwhile, with multiple members pulled over, going to get a heavy chunk out of this mid lane tower. The Hex Flash coming over the wall as Faison is going to look to run away, but he's caught out by the depth charge. Flashes and everything away from Sten. A lot burnt there from Faison to survive.
That was a very clever flash right there over the wall so that the anchor cannot connect after the ultimate from Stand. Sure loses his flash, but he ends up staying alive, and that was all for the sake of pushing that mid lane. As you will see, Stefan is around that mid lane, helping Faison push down that wave. But while this whole thing was going on the top side of the map, of course, they took tier 1 with the Herald. They almost got tier 2 with the Herald for the side of Dusty. Then Voxney had to sit underneath his tower in the bot lane. He's about 1.5 items in, same as Illusion. Illusion right now does a lot more damage because it's all about the burst together with the action, and there's a lot of squishy members on the side of Dusty. The Lee Sin, the LeBlanc, the Varus. You hit one of them, Udyr and Gragas are going to absolutely destroy them together with Lucian and Action. So I feel like Dusty's positioning is going to have to be extremely crucial, because if you get hit by any CC that Riddle are going to throw your way, there is a lot of burst damage that will take somebody extremely low and will either kill them, will either kill them or just zone them away from the fight.
It's fine. English is hard.
I know, man. You tell me.
Preaching to the choir here. Oh, good cleanse from Kevo, but this should be the end of the mid lane tier 1 as it is taken out. Then Voxley, it would actually get a fair amount of damage onto Stefan. Only a little bit, but, you know, fair amount. As Jaxplank's coming in on the flank, looking for a potential cast onto Den Voxney. Caps him into the wall. Not going to do anything here, as they do find a little bit of damage onto Linkus with the ultimate blocked out. And Dusty just going to get a free tower there. Meanwhile, top lane, Curb with Demolish, able to pop himself another tower. That's 600 Gs in the pocket for him. He is sitting very, very pretty right now. And slowly started to become that split push menace I was talking about on the Jax. This is what he does whenever he gets on the likes of like a Nasus or a Jax, or, you know, even back in the old day, Kale. Curb is a player who thrives in the side lane isolated.
Yeah, and right here we see him on one of his signature-ish champions, because Darius and I guess Nasus come to mind first, but he's played a heck lot of Jax this season as well. And even though he's been struggling a little bit in the early stages of the game, of course, in Stefan gank top lane, Jaxplank on this Gragas seems to be doing much better in this 1v1 rather than Darius in the previous game. Again, my problem right here for Dusty is that, yes, they're sitting very comfortably, 2,000 gold up, but they haven't necessarily been able to break this game open yet. It's been a very slow game in terms of Dragons. 20 minutes in, only one taken away. And the second one will spawn very close to 22 minutes into the game, and it's going to be that Ocean Drake. So, in terms of Soul, we're nowhere near. In terms of Baron, the teams have quick Baron plays, but it's from the side of Riddle. And Riddle right now, they're in a momentum where they'd rather wait, they'd rather sit back, they'd rather wait for Action to get pretty strong, so they can take him into the fights later on.
Oh, double chain to pop. A lot of damage comes out, but facing able to get the shield off, and now Backlund has used his ultimate, and Stefan's going to be chasing him down. He does have the flash, he does have the distort. He's actually going to try and go the other way around. Tidal Wave's going to connect in. No, he pops back.
Oh my god.
Backlund is giving the old runarounds. The LeBlanc special, baby. Nobody able to catch him. Meanwhile, his team have already done almost half the HP of Nasher. Kevo's trying to get the damage off of the Curb, but Curb just eats it up with the counter strike. And that just completely mitigates the damage coming out from him. Sten's going to tank most of this, and now it's going to be down to the 50-50 burn! Kicking out and securing the Nash for his team! That is one down, though, for the side of Riddle, and Den Voxney has been left on his lonesome. He flashes over the wall. Stefan continues to chase him down with a chilling smite. Sten is going to make sure that Den Voxney does not go down today. Hook goes between the goalposts. I'd say maybe a little luckily for his team here, as Curb is doing it again, jumping into multiple people, lands the stun, the fish is caught, the fish is ignited, but the heal from Kevo will save the day, and in comes Jaxplank with a 2-man Everfrost to lock them all down. Demboxy has no chains, he has still got the life though, and the tower out his pocket as he secures a kill for his team. A Baron and a kill over to the side of Dusty. Faison may get a dragon, but it is a consolation prize at this point.
This is the craziest gameplay that we're seeing right now for Kerberos. Jumps into 3 people, another teleport is coming in, Jaxplank joins this fight. All in all though, it is Dusty with a successful Baron. It is Dusty with 3 buffs secured in the team. And we're talking about how it was really difficult for them to break open the game due to Backlund's gameplay in the bot lane. They have managed to get that Baron, and they can actually now successfully siege. They've got Stefan, but I think he's going to be safe for now.
Well, Stefan, yep. Oh, actually, might be Curb who's in trouble. Then Voxy's on the flank, does like the chains. Sten misses the hook, unfortunately, but Faison is annihilated. Curb with a 2-man stun, and it is an absolute whitewash of a fight. That Udin might be strong, but he ain't going to be strong enough to survive the 5 members of Dusty as Curb secures a double kill. Absolutely beautiful play from Dusty.
Yeah, and from a 2,000 gold lead straight into a 5,000 gold lead. And with 4 members down and dead, and with a Gragas that cannot defend, it's going to be your entire jungle gone. It's going to be your mid lane tier 2 gone as well. And it's going to be a bunch of vision wards going down in Riddle's jungle, which means that the next time you're going to be face checking that jungle, there might be a LeBlanc, there might be a Lis in there, and somebody's getting one shot. So far, again, so good by Dusty. They faced the early game difficulties by blind picking 2 of the solo laners, but it's somehow coming back to life again through what else? Through team fighting, which is what they're really known for.
Really, really clean game coming in from Dusty, or at least the tail end of this game. I say tail end, we're mid-game, but you know what I mean. Their early definitely was less explosive, but we kind of hit on this during the pause. It felt like Riddle had made less mistakes early, had picked a comp that was, you know, a bit harder to punish, at least in the solo lanes. And now Dusty they're just showing up where we expect them to show up. You know, in these team fights, like you were saying, just playing super crisp, super smart as Stefan is looking here for Sten. Sten's going to flash away from everything thrown onto him. Does get himself almost out, but unfortunately not able to do so. Kevo going low HP, though. The belly bop doesn't quite connect onto Denvoxney, and now his team can turn it around. The kick's there. Curves over the wall. A double kill to Backlund on his LeBlanc as he's looking for Jack's Plank. A triple kill over to Backlund. Stefan being chased down. They're just going to Hex Portal behind him. Oh, no. Stefan is being hunted. Backlund jumps over the wall to chase onto him. Linkus is going to keep the pressure up as well, but that is such a quick Udyr. I think he should be able to get away from this one, and Denvoxney and gang probably just going to turn their attention towards getting a little bit more pressure in that mid lane.
Hey, if I was then, I would type in all chat, worth it? Question mark. the classic solo QBM. Of course, I'm kidding right here. Stand ends up face checking,
Oh my word.
but his team is just so freaking far ahead that they're able to turn this around. That Voxnate does so much damage on the turnaround right there that he's able to almost kill 2 people on his own in a 1 versus 3. And of course, Dusty, we've talked about the coordination. They're so quick to turn onto somebody. Wait,
No way.
They
He's
found
going to
him.
try and actually get it out with the Ram stance just to make sure he doesn't get hit by the CC. Ultimate down by Stend, but they are just toying with their food.
Oh.
And the big thing about this is they're delaying the kill. Yes, they used 2 ultimates there, but they delayed the kill, staggering that. Everybody else has now respawned, and Stefan has now got 40 seconds where he's not on the map. So this just extends the amount of time Riddle are down a team, down a member. And like you were talking about earlier, Stefan really is kind of like the key pivoting point for this team right now. Like he was very strong ahead early. He's obviously a real nuisance in the fights running around. And, you know, Riddle are now down their jungler, who's going to be super crucial for them when Dragon's going to be up, Baron's going to be up. They're going to want to try and contest all these things.
Linkus?
Speaking of junglers getting in trouble, Linkus getting a little chunked out there.
Yep, he's trying to fight 2 of the squishier members off the side of Riddle, but...
Oh! That's a big pop, but that's a dead LeBlanc. In response, the Lucian falls as well. But that was a lot of damage coming in. Linkus actually going very, very low. Not going to be going down, however, as Jack Funk may just actually look for this. They do speed them up. The flash belly bomb! Linkus able to survive just a little bit longer, but the bubble is huge. Nash is finding all the key targets. And Denvoxney has nobody to hide behind. He's not finished up by the ultimate. They try to come in with the shield. The kick connects in. What the hell was that, Lingus? You played that beautifully. A double kill onto the Lee Sin. Nash on the run. Ward hop forward, and all it takes is one final Q. And the chains are flashed away. Nash just about slivers out of that one. But oh my word, Lingus. Absolutely beautiful.
What was that play coming in from Linces? Holy guacs, that was absolutely stellar. It was on the millimeter, it was on the millisecond, and absolutely demolished Dusty. And honestly, this game is all about Linces and then Vox and the way they're playing together. But Backline is all the way in the backline of Riddle and Stefan. He's running away. Wait, never mind. He's going straight back to the fountain.
That was disgusting.
Quick reset. Quick reset.
Backlund almost kills Kevo here. Chains are on. He's gonzo.
Stop it.
Just LeBlanc things here as
Surely not a triple,
Mason?
right?
Nah, he's too low. There's no way. Right?
Oh,
He does
ult is not
not
up.
have ult. Yeah, if he had
Ult is
ult.
not that okay.
Meanwhile, his team secured Dragon and are now doing Baron. So we were watching all that hype stuff coming out of LeBlanc, but the real gameplay is happening over here at the Purple Worm. As with them
I just
Voxney.
want to say that this is how the first Baron started as well, Heatbrain. It was
Yeah.
Backlund doing his little nuisance things down the bot lane, keeping 3 people busy, but back then he was running away from 3 people. Right there, he was running down 3 people at this point. That's a 3.5 item. LeBlanc, Medja is completed, 14 stacks on it, Baron Dapper team. Dusty right here sitting very comfortably on 11k gold. And
Okay.
Kebros is trying his limits again.
Yeah, Curb's just dead, right? Oh no, the chains! The gang's all here, baby! Curb just baited
Surprise.
them all. Oh my word. I should look at the mini-map. I should look at the mini-map before they get a call something. I was just like, he's gonzo.
How long has it been since you played League of Legends, Heatbrain?
Oh, you don't want it. September. Genuinely. I've been watching League, but like playing League's a different story for me at the moment. They are going to take down that inhibitor in the mid lane and now turning their attention towards the top lane tower. Inhib will probably be next up to follow. Stefan maybe seeing if he can play some level of a nuisance as Backlund dodging away, and that is 1 dead fat man. 2 inhibitors down, Baron in the pocket, 2 members down as well. I'm gonna hazard a guess here, Trouble, but this might just be the end of the game. Another 30-minute banger coming out from Dusty. Not before they take out Stefan on his Udyr. Not before Kevo gets chunked out, but is able to survive just a little bit longer. Backlund's clone does go down. 30 minutes on the clock, and there we go. Dusty go 2-0 in the series.
I'm actually speechless because Dusty came from a series with a Div 2 team and they didn't look very clean. And now suddenly
Yeah.
they show up versus Riddle, that's a Div 1 team that played them fair and square during the regular season, and they're absolutely stomping them in every department. Bot lane is getting ahead, then Voxen is playing to freaking perfection. Like, I know that he's gone under radar because Backlund and Linces are playing more pop-off champions, fair enough, but like, the damage that this guy has been doing through these games, the way he's been playing 1v2, 1v3, and 1v4 scenarios, his chain of corruptions, the way he's been positioned around the fights, Linces' gameplay on the freaking Lee Sin, nah. Send it away. I'm disgusted. Send it away.
I mean, yeah, that was an unbelievable game coming out from the side of Dusty. You know, a definite mistake at the beginning. I think, you know, they weren't quite able to play to what they wanted to, but when we got into that mid game and when we got to team fighting, Dusty showed us why they are, you know, currently the best team in the NLC. Anyway, we're going to pass it over to Archer and the gang to break that game down. So over to you guys.
Heatbrain noticed us. We're the
Oh.
gang now.
This is great.
Well, we have one British and the other one I still don't know. But we need to
Who
talk
knows?
about what happened in this game because this is way too interesting. The fact that the early game was not as easy as it was for the previous Dusty, right? Tell me about it, Initialize.
Yeah, because you saw the mid lane play came up. We had that brief pause in the mid game. We had that chance to talk about it where the things we saw in draft saying, oh god, LeBlanc, Lee Sin for Backlund and Linsas, it's going to pop off. Level 2 gank happens, made me think, great, this is going to happen. You get top lane, going to make things happen. And then actually Stefan, all the while this is happening, gets like a 20 odds, well, like 15 CS lead, turns up bot lane, catches Den Voxney out as he is trying to reset from a bad lane state, gets caught, and suddenly Stefan is on the board. Stefan isn't shut out of the game, more importantly. He gets to have an impact, which the Belveth really struggled to in the prior one, and suddenly what looked like a pretty clean snowball from Dusty after the first couple minutes was suddenly stifled a bit, and Stefan was trading blow for blow, at least until the mid-game rolled around.
Well, that's the thing for me, right? Having this early game impact from Stefan on a champion that can impact the early game means that they at least get to compete at mid game. It's not suddenly you're down a crazy amount of kills on important carries like the Silas in that last game. So, okay, cool. That's first step done. You've got to mid game. You're still a little bit behind, but you can at least compete. Then we have to chat about what happens in the mid game because you got there. Job is not even halfway done.
So when they get into that mid game, that's when things get a little bit out of track and derail in favor of Dusty because of the way they play as a team, correct, Initialize?
Yeah, they do, because basically at this point, Backlund is beginning to pop off. He's a solo AP threat, he's getting very dangerous, and he goes for this 1v1 versus Facin, and decides, I need to be going because Nash and Stefan are coming down. And then we kind of see the LeBlanc things begin to happen. You can hear Yakety Sax queued up in the background. The Benny Hill theme is well and truly online. just hop straight back. And Steph was like, well, this is a nightmare. But
How
they brought
many
3 people
times?
down. They brought
How
3
many
people down.
times do we have to see LeBlanc do this kind of shenanigans before people realize it's just not worth the time investment? And this is the problem with getting to this mid game. It's like, cool, you've got at least the platform to fight on. Now you get tested in your macro, you get tested in your playmaking, and this is what Dusty do to you. And I really do agree with what Trouble was saying. You know, they played against the Div 2 team, they played against natives. And they looked like they weren't really fully awake. This looks like Dusty has started to really turn on and say, all right, okay, let's show Riddle, these Div 1 rivals of ours, what we're made of.
And that Baron kind of came through, and then suddenly you think, are you sure you want to go for this, Dusty? You really feel like this? And we just see some of the most mechanical bits of styling I've seen in a little while from the NLC level orgs. And Nash gets taken with the Ignite, gets out, you think, oh my god, the turnaround's coming through, it's a 3v4, and then it just doesn't work out. Demvoxne and Linces, when he turns up, just break everybody's goddamn ankles. It is incredible to see. And then, like, you see it get this close. Demvoxne gets to free fire. You heard it from Georgia that, look, this guy, when he gets the ability to start free firing, can turn things around. And I'm thinking of the later play where Linces gets some beautiful kicks. Never mind. But the point is, they get away with the Baron. They get out. They do a little bit of style at the end. They get the additional TPs. And you can see the kind of confidence they are playing with. They'll take the riskier plays. And more often than not, they're winning them in these mid and late game scenarios.
So this is the team we've been used to, the Dusty team, that everybody can shine, but when they play as a team, it's even worse than before. And we have the second replay just to showcase what we're talking about, Nymeta.
So this is when, Linces gets to pop off, but also, I think Backlund becomes, not to paraphrase Terry Pratchett too hard, but he becomes not just the god of mid lane, but the god of mid lane, because when he turns up on your screen, that's what you're saying, oh god, but LeBlanc's here. Dusty do this as a team, but look at the mobility they're using. Look how much damage they've got. I think, particularly when you look at the solo laners of Dusty, they just are so hard to disengage because you got max rank on Leap Strike, max rank on your Distortion. Sure, you get them earlier into the game, but it just means that Riddle, when they are into a fight, they better shut down those carries early, otherwise they have the ability to continue the fight. And we saw Backlund was a well-read individual. He did pick up a Magi towards the end of that game, to which I applaud him for. He managed to stack that up to about 24 or something like that towards the end of the game, and I was very pleased with that because, again, Dusty know how to take these fights and snowball them into crushing leads. You just even platform in the mid game, who gives a damn? They run you through with it.
And
but there was still a glimpse of hope. Tell me, initialize.
Like again, another glimpse of hope. And this is also a bot lane that was put behind pretty heavily early. You saw the level 2 dive, that massive freeze. Demvoxne was out of that game, and that's like 2 fights in a row we've now seen from him instead, where he pops off. And there's a third one coming, where another one of these goddamn flashes comes through, which is just beautiful. Like, this guy, despite having taken out the game, and yes, we've thrown praise towards that mid jungle again, but the fact you have got this Varus who, despite having pressure put on them, is still a threat in mid game, has got to be an absolute nightmare for Riddle to try and work out how to bloody well win a mid game fight.
If we're talking about breaking ankles and excelling at what they do, we need to show the last one. Just go.
I think we should just sit and enjoy this because this is the kind of play and just the kind of mechanical stuff. You're just like, look, you just have to really appreciate the mechanical play. Backlund understands, there's some cancel opportunity, wants to keep in range of the chain. It's a good shutdown, actually, from Jack's Planet and crew, but seriously, I just love watching these plays. It makes me excited to watch these teams, even though Riddle come out on the worst end of it. It's just fun to see these teams stand, fight, and outplay.
And look at the HP bars of Demvoxne and, of course, Linces. They're down to like 10%. They're in a 4v2, and still they go for these plays. And the absolute knife's edge. And I love, love, love to see the kind of confidence they're playing with. Faison does not want to be there.
But
this breaks like not just ankles, whole bodies.
Because when you're at least going into a Gragas, you know he's going to cancel you like infinite amount of times. So he kicks his target through his fat ass and gets the Q through.
It's just phenomenal.
So cool. I love watching this stuff. It's just fun to see him like, I can outplay that. It's great. I love it. Good job, Linces. That was pleasing to watch. And I'm not a jungle enjoyer.
The start of that 2v4 was literally 4 members at full HP versus Linces on none, practically. And Demvoxne, like, that's so annoying.
So at this point, should we call out the idea that the junglers are kind of deciding how the teams are going, but regardless of how Stefan is playing, it seems like Dusty is one step ahead. What can they fix in order to get a game out of Dusty?
I think At this point, Backland has too many things he's going to kill you on. I think you have to just accept mid lane is kind of donezo unless you have some miracle nullifying pick, a la, Crown versus Faker 2017. Maybe that's the play. You just find something, just nullify that lane. And you have to maybe get rid of the Varus at this point, because Varus is something which is just too hard. They had a good crack at breaking it in that game, but Varus is the champion. It's very hard to shut out the game. Like, engaging into him is very tough. He will, and you saw what Demroxley could do even when behind in that game. Contest jungle, I think you just have to leave mid for dead at this point and find an advantage through the bot lane. I think that's the way you've got to play this out. It's not working otherwise.
I'll add on before we call it here.
Yeah.
Get kills onto Kevo. This is multiple games now where he's just not been able to actually be the recipient of the kills from pressure towards bot side. And if you don't actually have someone with enough of a lead to threaten someone like Backland, you can see what happens in the mid game. Udyr wasn't able to do that.
It is match point, regardless of how you see it. Dusty are one step away from facing Astralis in the final. Riddle, do you have anything in the tank? Well, let's answer to that one as soon as we come back from the break. I'll see you soon.